Welcome to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy, wisdom, and healing, where we explore how energy shapes your life and how you can shift it to thrive in every area physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Each week, we'll dive into practical tools, real-world examples, and quantum energy perspectives to help you stay positive, navigate challenges, and reclaim your personal power. Whether you're dealing with stress, seeking balance, or curious about the energetic world around you, this is your space for insight, growth, and transformation.
Hello, and welcome to Release Your Potential Now with Jane. I'm Jane Phillips, and we're continuing our Be My Valentine series in February. In episode 1, we explained emotional self-love, how to soften your inner critic and make receiving love feel safer. In episode 2, we talked about making peace with your body, building trust with yourself in a grounded physical way. And today, we're turning our attention outward toward connection with others, because February isn't only about love for yourself, it's also about love in motion, how we create connection in real life. If you've been feeling lonely, disconnected, or you're always the one waiting, this episode is a gentle invitation to take one step towards someone else. And we're going to do it in a way that's healthy. This is not about overgiving or abandoning your boundaries. This is about offering simple, non-judgmental Valentine love that's steady, respectful, and real. So we're making the shift from self-support to supporting others. And here's a simple idea. The things you practiced the last 2 weeks, self-kindness, listening, softening, staying present, those are the same skills that help you show up for someone else. And here's a simple idea. When you learn how to support yourself, you learn how to support another person without fixing them, without judging them, and without turning it into a performance. So this week is about a question. If you've been waiting for connection, are you willing to take the first step? So why does reaching out feel so hard? Reaching out can feel surprisingly vulnerable. People often don't do it because they fear things like, oh, what if I bother them? Or what if they don't respond at all? They ghost me. Or what if I look needy? Or what if it gets awkward? And it's a tricky thing. And I have a little story about me wanting to connect to I do ghost work, a ghost talk in Los Angeles with a woman actor that I have worked with to clear her house. And I wrote her, I was scared, but I wrote and I said, can I come to LA and you would host a party where I could talk about my business? And she said, I am way too busy to do that, but would you like to be on my podcast? I went, oh my goodness, that was a better option for me. And I was on her podcast, and it allowed me a lot of connections with people that I would not have met if they hadn't been waiting, because she's talked about me a couple other times, for me to be live on the podcast. And so if I hadn't reached out to just take a risk to ask if she would host a ghost talk for me, I wouldn't be have as many new clients because of that. So sometimes the truth is we don't reach out because we don't want to risk disappointment. And what happened is I got disappointed, and then I got exactly a better option. So waiting can feel safer than initiating. But waiting has a cost. It can keep you feeling separate, stuck, and alone. So today we're talking about telling your nervous system connection is safe enough to attempt. And I tell my clients, it's an experiment. The worst that can happen is nothing, or somebody says no. It may not be perfect. It's not guaranteed, but it's just be safe enough. Let it be safe enough to at least one small step, because you never know what's going to happen. So, and we're going to talk a little bit about non-judgmental love, what it is and not. So let's define what we mean by Valentine love, because that's a trigger for some people. Non-judgmental love is kindness without a lecture. It's presence without pressure. It's support without controlling. And it's care without keeping score. The whole idea of, I'm going to care, but now you have to care about me. It's letting someone be where they are without trying to correct them, analyze them, or rush them. And it's not about rescuing, overfunctioning, becoming someone's emotional dumping ground. That's not what we're talking about. Or saying yes when you actually mean no. Or it's not about taking responsibility for someone else's happiness. So we're keeping it clean. Kindness plus boundaries. And the first step is connection can be built in more than one way. And this is a mindset shift for this week. Connection doesn't always arrive because you deserve it. Sometimes it arrives because you initiate it. And some people think when initiating connection, they often think it has to be personal, direct, and emotionally intimate, like a big heart to heart. But connection can be built in other ways too, ways that feel safer and lighter and even fun. And sometimes, if you're an introvert as I am, the easiest way to feel connected is to be around people while doing something that matters to you. And that's one of the best ways to create solid, grounded connection is through shared purpose. So some ideas for you is maybe volunteer at a local food bank or help with a community cleanup. Or if you belong to a church or another religious facility or something, you can help with community cleanup, picking up trash with a group, or joining a park or trail cleanup with the Park Service or community volunteers. I lived 2 blocks from a park that was non-maintained because it was kind of in a no man's land. And I got irritated with the trash, and we had homeless people in there that were leaving things. And I finally decided that getting irritated didn't solve anything. So I went to the park with my dog and I started picking up trash and hauling it out. And I did that for 3 years. And after maybe 2.5 years, people started coming in that weren't there before because they were afraid of the trash and the homeless and all of that. But I even had the courage over time to pick up some of the homeless stuff. And people started coming in with their children and their strollers. And after 3 years, I walked in one day and the whole Park Service was there cleaning up this park. I'd been working on it for 3 years. And there was somebody else that I made a connection with during that time who had kind of given up, right? She said, well, everyone retrashes it, so I'm not going to stay with it. But I enjoyed picking up trash, and my dog liked being in the park off leash. So I just kept doing it. And I would call the Park Service if I had something I couldn't pick up, like a flat screen TV that was broken. And they finally picked it up. And I learned that everything counts. And I found out after I left the area that people were asking where I'd gone because they were appreciative of my persistence with this. So you never know where things you're going to connect. I connected with another lady in the park and really supported a lot of people in the community, even though they didn't know necessarily who I was. So when you're volunteering, you don't have to force conversation or impress anyone. Most of the time I was doing my work by myself, but I was feeling connected with the area. And you're simply can be side by side doing something meaningful, and that naturally builds connection. So when you volunteer, you don't have to force anything. And you can have another option if volunteering to do food banks and community cleanups and all of that, you can support an animal rescue shelter or a local charity event if that is rewarding for you. So another option is to join a group that matches your interests, like a meetup group, because connection becomes a byproduct of what you already enjoy. So you could join a hiking group, especially if exercise is a goal and you're not getting it done alone, which would be me, but I'm working on it. So you could become part of a book club, or become part of a meditation group, or a walking group, or a beginner art class, or a writing circle, maybe a gardening club, or a new in the town social group. So there are lots of options through Meetup or other things. So the important thing is connection doesn't have to be intense to be real. Sometimes it starts with, I belong here, before it becomes, I'm deeply known. So how to connect without over giving? It's about boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries because it matters. A boundary is not a wall, it's a container. It's what allows kindness to stay clean. And if you're someone who tends to overgive, and I have that tendency, check in with yourself. Am I reaching out to connect or earn my place? Can I do this without resentment? If you're doing it with resentment, probably not the right thing. Or am I offering support, or am I trying to fix something? So a simple rule is if it costs you some peace, it's probably not love, it's pressure. So we're asking you to choose kindness that doesn't betray you. So I want to mention again, as I did last week, that if you want deeper connection, but you feel guarded about it, you may have a heart wall. And those are emotions trapped around your heart that are formed for protection. And they can start pretty young. And the problem is that a small heart wall can block real closeness and receiving love. And it gets bigger over time. When the heart wall is released, emotional hits often move through faster, so they don't linger for days in your body and affect your mood. So if you're curious about how a heart wall may improve your connection with others, you can go to janecphillips.com to learn more. And if you send me an email during the month of February, I'm giving 10% off the heart wall removal, which can take more than one session, but I'd love to help. So janecphillips.com. Thanks. So we want to offer a simple practice, which is compassion without carrying. And a simple practice you can use with anyone, friends, family, coworkers, even people you're meeting through volunteering groups, is this kind of idea is your compassion without carrying it with you, okay? So you see them and you notice somebody, you really notice them, and you care. And then if they're sharing an experience that seems really hard and you have compassion for it, you don't have to fix it. You can respond with, that sounds hard, or I appreciate why you feel that way. And I always have a sidebar around the word appreciate. A lot of people will say, I understand why you feel that way or how you feel that way. The word understand is really laden with, it triggers people because you and I have had our life experiences. And with our life experiences, we see the world in a unique way that's only true for us. And so when you say, I appreciate that, you're not acknowledging that you have the same view of things, but you appreciate that they're having a hard time or whatever is going on. And you can say, I appreciate why you feel that way or how you feel that way. So you're not agreeing and you're not helping, you're just helping someone else be seen and heard, and you're not required to do anything. Now, I usually add a comment when I'm talking about this to my men friends, is because men are really wired well. They have a different brain set than women to to fix things, to solve problems. And so when we're sharing things, a lot of times my men friends say, "Oh, this is what you need to do." And women have been wired a little bit differently. We still do that. I've done that when I shouldn't. But we're wired for and have the ability to just hang in there with people. So sometimes I will be listening to a friend for half an hour, just going, yeah, oh, that's tough. And all she needed was to be able to voice her stuff. So that's certainly a way to offer support. You're offering support, not a rescue mission. It's just a small being there. And you got to release what the outcome is. If you decide to give them advice, you can't control how they're going to respond or heal or change or even appreciate it, but you can be there for them. And this is how you love without losing yourself. You just be there. So one of the most overlooked ways to create connection is consistency. So a lot of people feel lonely because they don't have regular points of contact. And they might have people they love, but not rhythms of connection. And that's why volunteering like once a week or by joining a group that meets twice a month can quietly change your whole life. It creates friendly familiarity, and friendly familiarity is often the foundation for deeper friendships. So if you're someone who feels awkward, shy, or out of practice socially, shared activities are powerful. You can show up, be yourself, contribute, and gradually feel more at ease. So if you feel lonely, there's nothing wrong with you. Loneliness is often a signal that you want more connection. And sometimes it's also a signal that your system is cautious. It learned that reaching out wasn't safe, or it didn't work, or hurt. So if this episode stirs emotion, I want you to hear this. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to take one step that matches your capacity. One small reach, one small yes, or moment of kindness. So as we close today, I want to leave you with this. February is about love for yourself and for others. And love isn't only something you feel, it's something you practice through attention, kindness, steady presence, and small acts that say you matter. If reaching out feels vulnerable, that's okay. Vulnerability is often the doorway to real connection, and you can do it with boundaries. You can be kind without carrying somebody else's issues. And you can offer love without losing yourself. Sometimes the most connective thing you can do is join a shared purpose. Volunteers show up and let the community happen naturally. Thank you for spending time with me on Release Your Potential Now with Jane. Next week in episode 4, we're expanding this Valentine love even further into love for the planet, the trees, the land, your yard, your home environment, and the natural world that supports you every day. Until then, take one small step toward connection this week because it matters more than you think. Thank you for listening. This has been Release Your Potential with Jane. Thank you.
You've been listening to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy wisdom and healing. Tune in on Transformation Talk Radio to unlock the power of energy healing and transform your life one insight at a time. Share this episode with a friend who's feeling stuck and might benefit from a little extra support on their journey. Together, we can create a ripple effect of healing and positivity, empowering individuals to live healthier, more joyful lives. Are you ready to gain control of your life and health? Then visit janecphillips.com to book a session, join a workshop, or explore how energy wisdom can help you heal and thrive.